Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. This is the Freeman Bot and Freeman Mastermind. Um, we are officially live. Thank you for joining us today. Today is September 23rd. It's a very special day. Still raining here in Mexico. How you doing, Bo?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right.
Good. I'm Adam, and I'm here as your host today, along with Bo. So have at it, Bo. Tell us what's going on, man. Start us off.
Well, first off, dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you right now for your presence and your creative ability inside of each and every one of us to decide for ourselves individually to unite as one, to become a body, and to change the world for good. And so we just go forth in that. We just thank you for everybody listening. We just pray for hearts and minds and spirits to be activated and lit on fire with the message of Christ inside of each and every one of us, that we could experience the fullness of what Father God gave to us in this life, so that we can experience it to the fullest. So I just acknowledge his presence here with us, and amen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Like Adam said, I'm Bo. Hello. And boy, so there's just there's some things going on. It just happens to be Rosh Hashanah, I believe. Rosh Hashanah is
Goes on
a
every year, right, Bo?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
just making sure.
yep.
Yep.
But this one here is particular for the
Crazy
people.
people who believe in like all this
so
bullshit. Hmm.
so I was told from a rabbi friend of mine that Rosh Hashanah, it's not one of their original holy days. So it's kind of one that they just kind of I guess ad-libbed. Maybe it is. I could be wrong. So forgive me for all the people that are offended
I
by
just
that. But
I personally don't pay attention to Satanist holidays.
right.
I don't
But
really
right
know what they are. I
now,
don't really much
there
care.
there are two things that are happening. One, the 10 nations, the European Union, that whole thing, they're working at dividing the landmass of what we call Israel today. And that's just the body of land.
What? Who?
So
Wait. Slow down, because you're always speaking out of turn for other people. What is this we
sure.
shit? Who is this we shit that we call Israel, Bo? Because
All right,
what?
you're right. Well,
Please speak for
Israel is
yourself.
Christ.
Please
It
speak for yourself and what you call Israel, or what you're calling Israel in this specific statement.
All right,
Because
so
I don't call
forgive
Israel
me.
what you call Israel.
I once was overly indoctrinated as a form of Zionism. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so you're
So
talking about a government of Israel. You're talking
correct.
about an established 1945 government.
When I say we, I mean like the world, the way that they see it, just like they would call the United States of
I
America.
don't
They're
think we, the
calling.
people, support that shit. I think
I
some
don't
other
disagree.
people who don't
So
have our
all right.
best interests in mind
So
did that. So be
let me
clear in your
reword it.
speech here, Bo.
Yep, let me reword it. So
Thank you.
there's a landmass that
Yep.
they want to divide, and they want to put certain people on one side and other people on the other side, and they want to create this peace agreement, this new thing above and
Hmm.
beyond the
The
Abrahamic
continental divide we currently have.
currently. Yeah. So, but that's one of the things that they're discussing, and they may
Eh,
come to a conclusion, and I believe they like I don't know. There's what they're
Bo,
doing. Like there's
don't matter
several
here.
hundred.
Don't
Go
matter what
ahead.
they're doing.
All
Don't
right.
matter what they're
Well,
doing. It don't matter what they're doing. It's bullshit.
maybe,
It's all bullshit.
maybe,
1 minute.
but
Yeah.
so here, let me tell you what's not BS. All right. So,
Yeah. What? Tell
um,
me. I'd love to hear it.
so on Sunday there was an eclipse. Okay. Now this eclipse was interesting because it went right over Virgo. If you know anything about Virgo, that's the woman. It depends how you look at her in the star constellations.
All
Now
right.
Virgo just happened to be there were two planets that fit right in line, and the first one was Mars and the other one was Mercury. And if you know anything about those two together, Mars is could mean blood or war, and Mercury could mean resources, money, or communication. And so basically what the stars are speaking is if you know anything about that, they are speaking that right now we're on the brink of a financial war, and this is written in the stars right now, literally. And this is crazy that everything's happening right now around the 25th, I believe. And there's some kind of Bitcoin reserve that Trump was talking about.
Yeah, Bo,
That's
but there's these
gonna.
insane people online that have a date like 1 month picked out, like at least every 3 months, where shit is gonna hit the fan,
No,
and it
I
always
know.
hits
But
the fan. It's not
one
really a
thing
big
you
deal,
can
man.
do, one thing you can
No,
do is you
it's
can
fear. It's
manipulate
bullshit.
days and dates, but you can't manipulate the stars.
You can definitely manipulate reality, and you can
Sure.
you can have effect in the consciousness. So
Right.
if you're trying to build this negative consciousness and feed
No,
into it,
no.
I mean,
Nothing
we
negative.
tried last week with this Charlie Schmuck stuff, and it was, it was definitely, I got about 5 different calls after the mastermind last week thanking me for unhypnotizing them, because they were so hypnotized by the television and the nonsense that was running on there,
Sure.
the actors and actresses that were appearing on television making statements that were false appearing real, right, in this fear factory, in this crisis consciousness. And we don't need another one, Bo. Like, we really don't need another crisis consciousness from the stars. What we need is some solutions,
Sure.
and that's what I'm open to. So I'd love to hear some solutions you have there, because it's really about our collective consciousness. It's like
Correct. And you
Nostradamus,
just
right?
said it. You just
He's a
said it right
giant
there.
asshole. And when you try to be Nostradamus, predicting this bullshit, to be honest with you, it's just feeding into the negative narrative that gives
Right.
it a higher percentage chance of happening.
All
The
right. So
whole
let me
reason
finish then.
Nostradamus told us that was
Yeah.
so that we could actually use our consciousness to make sure it didn't happen.
Maybe. I mean,
There's
I
no
agree
maybe
with
about
that.
it.
Sure.
That's what I know.
So basically, the reason why I'm saying that is because it's what one would consider a turning point. Now, the turning point is up to us. It's not up to
You're
nations.
still
It's
hypnotizing
not
us.
up to what other people. Well, you talked about it last night with the when there is a or last week when there is a crisis, and I read the response, or the definition, and it there's a turning point. And I think the
Mhm.
real true turning point is this, like you just mentioned, the consciousness. What are we focusing on now?
Yeah, it's when you turn
Right
away from
now,
it,
what
you
well
know?
right now, if you're watching the news or what's going on in the social media stuff, you're going to see all sorts of predictions. You're going to see all sorts of people throwing stuff out there.
The P
What I
word is correct, but it's
wh-
propaganda is what the real word is.
right, but what I'm saying is the power of prayer is more powerful than what they are dictating over us. And so what
Yeah,
I'm
but you
saying
have
is
to know
that
what
when we
prayer
come
is, and
together as one,
prayer is the wish fulfilled, and you have
and
to know that it's already done, and you wouldn't speak about these things if you didn't. Now,
or
if you wanna
or
have a very brief consult about what nonsense is going on, what Jewry is happening with Jared Kushner's dad, with Trump going against Ukraine again. Okay, that's the flavor of the week. Who gives a shit? Is it vanilla? Is it
right.
chocolate? It's bullshit flavor. No matter what flavor it is, it's the flavor of bullshit.
I'm
It all
You're not
tastes
wrong.
that way,
Yeah.
because it's like none of those guys have any believability. Everybody's, oh, Trump's going to be our hero. Trump's going to save us. And so many people bought into this Q lies. So many people bought into the, 45 is really 46, which is 47, which is 48, which is 49. And America, whatever. It's really dumb shit. And it's not helping anybody's cause, and it's not helping anybody get to where they need to go, any type of focus on this whatsoever. When it goes in, it has to come out really quickly as bullshit. And if you allow it to sit there and simmer, it's not going to work for you. And that's the main thing. If you continue to allow it to perpetrate what's going on in your realm, it's going to mess up your realm. And that's the whole purpose of this news. It's not called the good news. The good news is the Bible. The bad news is the news you watch on TV. It's the antichrist. It's the
Right.
opposite of the Bible, because the Bible doesn't tell you this shit. It doesn't
Mhm.
tell you a bunch of pedophiles run Israel and hate the West, you know what I mean, or whatever. That's not really what it is. There's some interesting stories there that you can possibly learn lessons from, but the news is not a story you can learn a lesson from, generally speaking.
No,
It's there
absolutely.
for fear and only fear and manipulation. So, you really got to get off that news cycle. It's interesting to see sometimes with a weight, you got to put it on a weight scale. Like, how much does that really weigh in your daily life, in your daily existence? And I put it like maybe at like 2%, 1%, where it's interesting that I know enough about it just so I can see through it. But to buy into it is
Right.
absolute cockamamie garbage, right?
Well, right now people are selling their homes and their cars in preparation for something, and it's crazy.
Yeah, they sell their homes and their cars
Th-
every day, bro. People every day this year,
I
people have
know.
been selling, and
I'm
actually
just saying.
for
I'm
probably ever
telling
since a
people.
home
I'm
and a
telling
car
people
existed,
don't.
people have been
Yeah.
selling their homes and their
Yep.
cars.
No, whichever way you look at it, no matter how you think the end exists or doesn't exist, whatever. Jesus even told us. He said, "Hey, this whole thing, people are going to be doing the same stuff that they were doing the day before. And so if it happens, it's not up to you to decide
Correct.
when
It's not
that's
up
going
to
to
you to pick
happen.
the time and the date. So
So
forget about
what I'm trying to say, Adam, is that don't sell your homes, don't go sell your cars and buy into the end of the world stuff, because it's not
it.
up to you to
No.
decide. Continue the stuff that you were doing, continue your research, continue raising your family, continue earning money for to eat and for a roof over your head. Don't stop the things that you're doing just because you heard somebody say something, or something is going to happen. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And so, yes, be wise.
Yeah, for real, be wise. And
I mean,
not
Adam,
only
are
do you have
you
to
did you sell your house? Did you sell all your stuff and
I actually moved for a little bit away from the water to an island that was even more closer to the water, in the middle of the water, and I live on the water again and don't really give a shit, because maybe island means Highland and I'm in the right place.
there
Who
you
knows?
go.
But if it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go.
Right.
I personally am going to enjoy every day I can.
Yeah. Well,
And that's really,
I did not
yeah.
sell my house and I did not sell my cars in anticipation for the end of any event.
No, when
So,
you do things like that, you should do them to better yourself and to
exactly.
put
Uh-huh.
yourself in a better position tomorrow than you were today. And that's
Mhm.
progress. And that's
Right.
really what's happening. So, yes, there's a bunch of things in the news cycle because school just started back. Okay.
Yeah.
The assholes just finished vacation, and every single year and every single cycle in this cycle, the
Right.
assholes put a bunch of news out to make people afraid and stay home and watch more of their news.
So
Okay.
if you guys don't know, the month of August and into some of September, that's when politicians all around the world, they have their recess and they go on break.
Yeah. And we're
Yeah.
in the month of, or we're like, look, what you have to realize is that we're not going into a financial war. We've been in a financial war since we got on this stupid planet and been put through this nonsense. It's been a financial war for your soul. It's been a financial war for everything. Every war has been a financial war and a banker's war. And are we currently engaged in war in the United States? Yes. Are we currently engaged in war against the bar? Yes. Are we currently in an active war with China that's undeclared? Yes. Are we actively going into, not we, is the government of the United States or the military actively going into Venezuela so that the Chinese aren't able to establish more of a further base than it already has in Panama? Sure, they are. Do we have a contract with Taiwan that the U.S. must protect them because of their business alliances? And that's originally what the Marines were set up for, because they are called the Merchant Marines. They handle all those container ships out there and make sure that commerce doesn't get screwed up. So, Nvidia and all these tech companies that depend on Taiwan, there's huge contracts that go back and forth. So, you know, are we in war with Russia through Ukraine? Yes. Are all these things happening? Yes. But again, none of it really is there to affect you or anybody else. So, yeah, that's you know. So, what do we do now and where do we go? So, James wants to know more about trust. Lucas wants to know more about trust. Um Again, what do you do after registering your God trust? So, that's a great question. Not sure how you registered it or where you registered it, Lucas. So tell us about that. There's many ways you can register a trust, right? You can register it through registered mail. You can send a notification and put a certificate of trust on file with your local government to make it official if you're doing business. Do you have to in all cases? No. Is it better sometimes to do a certificate of trust? Yeah, if you want. Um, there aren't real requirements there. Bo, you've sent some documents, and you can do an affidavit of existence of a trust, um, or you can just go to the state and spend a couple $100 and register there. It's
Very
absolutely
easy.
your choice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can move it through a document, which is, your CETUS. And your CETUS actually is where your main or a trustee that you appoint has its main residence. Okay. So you can move your trustee CETUS around. So let's say you have a CETUS in New York, but you want to move your CETUS to Colorado. So you can appoint someone there in Colorado as a trustee for the purpose of establishing CETUS, right? And you can limit their responsibilities. It's all private contract. So registered mail and put it on the record. Not sure what the record means. Um, what record? So you put it on the record. What does that mean? You record it in a firm book. You sent a notice to the Secretary of State. You send a notice to, you know, anybody that the existence of your trust. You put it into the newspaper. You can also put in notice in the newspaper that this exists, right? You can put it in the courthouse. We used to be able to go down to the courthouse, and they used to have a big bulletin board there, and you could put up notices, right?
Post it for
Um,
60 days.
yeah, now notices are really challenging.
You can do websites too.
Lucas, public record, what does that mean to you? That's a nice word that can mean any of those 3, 4, 5, 6 things we just described. So it can mean putting it in the newspaper, putting it in the court. So you can you can file it as an affidavit with deed. So you can put it as an affidavit of existence of a trust or affidavit of certificate of a trust. Register with deeds. You can register it with the Department of Commerce. Um, you can do it registered mail. You can, there's a ton of different ways. Now, the use is going to depend, what that is and what you want to do there. And, that's definitely, you know, something that's very important. So, James, you asked if we could stop arguing later and get to teaching about trust as promised, please. So, absolutely. So, what's your question, James, about trust? Please let us know where you're needing some help with, because I'm not a mind reader. I would love to get a question. So, authentication question. Can you use a certificate of live birth you get from the state health department that they normally send out, or do you have to get a long form birth certificate that the state holds on how much letter tips, how you get that. I have to tell you 100%. I don't think, Mike, there's like a rule book on that. Like, I don't think anybody's made a rule book, and I don't know what you really need it for, right? There's there's different schools of thought on that. Um, I speak to a lot of people about it. There's people that say don't do it. There's people that say do it, right? Um, I would say that, Mike, you do what is best for you as far as authentication, a double authentication, a triple authentication, a quadruple. You can do like a triple Lundy backflip for all anybody cares. And the thing is, as long as you care about it and you can stand on it, and hold on one second. As long as you care about it and you stand on it, that's all that really matters. So you have to be, as far as authenticating the birth certificate, um, you're authenticating you're authenticating a copy, and authenticating a copy of anything is great. So you already have something on there that's stamped that says it's a copy. You don't have the original. If I was doing something right now, Mike, I would try to get the original, right? Like, why don't you go try to do that? So if it's your birth certificate, why don't you have the original? Because it's somebody else's birth certificate. It's not yours. So, oh, what's the best way to get the long form? You have to go down to Health and Human Services or to the hospital. It depends on what state you were born in.
It depends on the state. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
In Minnesota, the long form is both the short and long together.
yep.
So, and that's all that they needed. So you basically take, or the certified, and then you take the long form, which is the additional information that's not in the certified version, and then you have those two together. So you have a copy of the certified version, and then the long form with it, and that is your completed long form in the state of Minnesota. And other states are different. I know Illinois is has more of a headache, as well as Alaska, but
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And again, it depends what you're using it for. So are you using it for identification purposes? Um, what exactly is the goal of the use, right? So, James, again, please make a comment here about what you're looking for in trusts. Okay. So, um, I've got, again, we're going to be doing a trust workshop in November in Minnesota. And in the trust workshop, we're going to have a little bit more um information as far as what documents you should have. So everybody has the folder that I gave them. There's going to be some ancillary documents. It's always good to tighten things up. So for housekeeping purposes, we're going to have a few more documents. Everybody's going to get, completed trust by the time they leave. So we're going to make sure everybody has one printed, notarized, ready to file. But again, none of this is like a one size fits all. So again, Mike, like you asked, like what is the, authentication process for the Social Security Trust? Yeah. So that's an excellent question. On and if that is even the correct way to obtain that, right? There's a lot of different theories. When I was in the trust camp in Arkansas, where David was laid to rest, um, we went over some different ideas on that, and to be honest with you, I can't pull one out of my brain right now because I just usually when something sticks with me, it's because I know it. And that I just kind of didn't know. So again, when I'm doing some deeper research on the birth certificate, it's not our birth certificate. We do not, if it is your birth certificate, go and get the original. Go
Right.
and get the original if it's yours. Now,
And and remember, what one creates, one controls. And if your parents didn't create the form, then the entity that created it will hold it for you because they believe that it's theirs. Just like MCOs, just like you name it.
your
Like that.
parents definitely didn't create it for you. Your mother signed
Right.
off on it
Yep.
as an informant.
Right.
So, what I would look more into than the authentication of the birth certificate would be the clarification and the adjustment on the birth certificate, right? Because the birth certificate is basically an adhesion contract where your mother came in as the informant and she turned you in, and you don't hold that original record. She doesn't hold that original record. You have a copy of it that was filed somewhere. And there was this really evil man. I forget what his name is, but Bo, you can probably look it up and you know who it was. But he designed this whole quote unquote birth certificate type of thing, right? I think you remember who he is. But um Colonel Mustard or some guy. I think
I don't
he
know
had a
about
top
that.
hat, you know, and
Was it?
yeah, he killed somebody in the library or something, you know, that
Okay.
guy.
Oh,
So anyway,
Lincoln?
some character that that you know kind of came up with this evil plan to create the birth certificates. And when everybody's told us, which is true, um, from David to Divine to anybody, it's like there's there's always remedy. So yeah, House, Colonel House. You're right. That Mandel House,
That's yeah.
Colonel Mandel House created this
That's right.
birth certificate
Yep.
stuff. Whether he was a real guy or not, I don't know. I never met him. That's what I mean. Like it's just some
Right.
game of Clue with Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, thanks, Mike
Right.
Shaw. You got it.
Yep.
And what their intention there likely was to leverage us as the credit, right? So you always have some interest in those contracts, but your position in that contract isn't really strong, right? Because your position in the contract, like look at a trust, right? So I've got to go to court and do a request for a constructive trust. So I have to go to the court and say, hey, court, I need a constructive trust. Yeah, Mike Shaw, probably trafficking of souls. You're absolutely right. I mean, they've been trafficking souls since we've been here. That's what they're, always taking from us, our
Hmm.
our time and these types of things. But
Right.
above that, we've got the issue of these constructive trusts, right? So a lot of times when there's something that isn't clear, you would need to make it clear. You have to make the declaration in the court, so they'll make a constructive trust. Okay. What happens is there is a that whole document that's your birth certificate is a trust, right? You got to have an executor, creator, or a grantor. Um, and you have to have a trustee, right? A parent, right? The trustee, it's kind of like the parent is renting, it's the pair that rents, and they're renting you from the grantor. Now what's happening is the state of is stepping in as God the creator in that trust. So they've set up a trust where likely, now don't quote me on this because you know it could be formed differently, but it looks like it's implied that they are the grantor, right? Like they're granting you the right to birth. They're putting it on this piece of paper, and the state of whatever gives you this right to birth. You're allowed to live, son.
Hmm.
Thank you. And thanks to the informant that told us that you're actually alive, because now you're ours and
Hmm.
we're taking you because
Yeah.
we're creating this trust, and that's what's being created, right? So when and let's get back to what uh uh James wanted us to get back to about speaking about the trust, right? So when you and I create a trust, who holds the documents there? Do I hold the registration or does the state hold the registration? I hold the declaration. I hold the birth certificate of that trust. That's the declaration document, right? It has a notary on it from the state. It has 3 witnesses on it. However, I choose to do it, along with my thumbprint, as that I'm the man that I created this, right? I'm the executor. And then I'm assigning the positions. So are you the beneficiary? Are you property? I would say, you know, obviously the government can't be both the grantor and the trustee. So they could be making your parents as the grantor and saying, hey, we're granting this child to the state and that state property, and then they're using that as property and going out. The beneficiary then could be that social security trust, right? So it's for the benefit of all. So we're creating this, we're giving it to you. So in fact, it may be that the parents are the grantors granting the rights to this child to the state as trustee, and the beneficiary is the we the people. Well, it's supposed to be the we the people. However, that could be subterfuged into another organization that they have. So they have 2 trusts as well, right? Hey, Bo, how many trusts do I have when I create a trust?
2.
Okay. And why do I do that? Because God told me to, right? Now, if they can do it, we can do it. So when they have this big state of, and then they have the small state of, is that the same entity or a different entity? Or even, Minnesota State versus state of Minnesota. Okay.
Different.
Different. So are they likely using one to be the grantor, one to be the beneficiary? Probably.
Likely.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, there is a division at the division of Health and Human Services. Not everybody is able to go to Health and Human Services, especially if you were born abroad. So it doesn't work in every instance. But there is corrections that when there's errors or omissions or things happened, or you're inside of a contract and you're not the property that was supposed to be sold, or I didn't give my mom and my dad the right to convey this, and I'm really the executor. So, me personally, I like to have control of my all caps name estate. Whatever name is on that birth certificate, I like to have control of that as the executor. Okay. So if you want to go in and change the birth certificate so it's in alignment with how you file your estate, right? Estate just means state. Um, Adam Urban State, whatever. That's their property, right? So you can still be the executor of their property, of that which they created, if you take on that position, and that position is legally allowable, right? So who was that grantor? It seems like grantor informer are probably, I mean, we'd have to look that up, Bo, on Latin root of informer, but I think it's one that turns over to another. And really, when you're a grantor, you're turning it over. So it's to train, instructor, educate, actually. It's one who supplies information, especially to authorities, meaning reporter, accuser, denouncer, or informant. So in a trust, they have someone who creates they have creator is the same as executor, which is the same as, yeah. So I would say that position is very, very closely linked. Um, and if you wanted to go down to your health and human services and ask for a correction on, what your position is there, and you didn't sign your birth certificate, but now once you become of majority age, if it's your birth certificate, shouldn't you be the one that verifies you were born on that day, not two other parties? Like, shouldn't you be the one that goes down and says, hey, this is me and this is my trust? And you'd put Adam slash executor. So I'd put executor of my estate on my birth certificate and change the position because they allow for those things. And, you know, you're allowed to make corrections. Or I might even be the informer in that. Um, and cross out informer and put executor. Why not? I mean, you're allowed to go in there and make corrections. They're not going to love it because it's their property. And you'll likely 100%, I dare anyone to go in and try to get the original, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or find out where the original is even held. And can you see it? Can you hold it in your hands? Do they have it? Because everybody's so focused. And I think it's a wild goose chase that some fat guy that looks like Porky Pig put everybody onto. And I think it's bullshit.
What is it? What is identification? I mean, let's just be honest. They identification is your ID or identification in order for you to operate in the capacity that they're giving you permission to do so. Just like information, you're informing on when you're giving that information to them. And so, with your identification, it's difficult to do anything without having that form of identity that they created for you, that you have to consistently pay for. And opting out of that system is what I think many of us are trying to uncover.
Of course, but I don't
Right.
think authenticating their document is going to do you shit
Right.
of good. I
That's
mean,
what
it's
that's what I'm
already
getting to. Yeah.
stamped. It's on bonded paper, on special birth certificate paper that's made by I believe it's what's the name of that company again, Bo, that makes all the IDs? They make all the passports around the world. Do you remember
Oh
the name of
yeah.
that company? We did the
No.
research a while back, but there's one
Yeah.
company
Yeah.
that makes every single passport. They make
Mm-hmm.
all the birth certificates. They make all the money too. I think it's like the US dollar bill company or something stupid like that.
Hmm.
But it's this huge company that worldwide makes all of those documents. So again,
Well, there's actually a company
is
in
it
Minnesota that does that for IDs and passports. So yeah,
yeah, maybe.
I know somebody on the IT company that does it. So I asked him if he could make me one. He goes, no, but everybody asks me.
Yeah. So, with those particular documents, the passport that you hold, is that your passport? I don't think it is.
Hmm.
It's property of the US government. Is your social security card your property? I don't think that is. It's property
Right.
of the United States government.
Well, they
Is
assigned a number to you, and what is passport? It's a pass to enter from port to port.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not 100% like believing that authenticating your birth certificates is going to do any bit of good for you in any kind of way.
And
Um,
if it has, for anybody out there that wants to share success stories, we would love to hear it. So email us at
no,
freemanbot
but
or info at
you got to go
freemanbot.com.
in and you got to ask the questions because you're going to be able to get a lot of different answers, and maybe the person behind the counter also is inquiring about, like, where's the originals going and who are those
Mhm.
going to, because all any of you can get is a copy, and that's what it
Right.
says right on your birth certificate. This is a copy.
Yeah.
So authenticating a copy is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the value is there other than somebody wants to get you to go and focus on a lot of things that probably don't matter too much. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I would say what really matters is probably correcting the status on that birth certificate through, yes, um, Health and Human Services has a data correction department. Okay. So they can correct birth records. So if you want to change your birth record, is probably what you want to do at a certain point in time when you become a majority
Right.
and you become of age, right? Because you don't need anybody to inform on you and turn you in anymore. So that relationship is ended. So
Hmm.
in trust, again, I'm going to loop this back into what I said in the beginning, and I hope you guys are listening because I said we could change the status of a trust, right? Because that trust exists where that actual trustee resides or where someone they put in that position resides. Now, we can also cancel that trustee at any time we want. We can do a whole bunch of things, you know. Whoever's in control of the trust can do whatever they want to that trust. So if you think that that trust is yours, um, you got to take control of it, right? So if we're operating a trust out here in the world where we said there's two different trusts with two different names and they're the same name, but maybe look different or even look the same, state of Minnesota or Minnesota State, what have you, I would start by correcting that record to as far as I could go. Because I think if there obviously is a constructive trust. Mike said it was the Social Security Trust. Um, God only knows what it's really called. I mean, there is a Social Security Trust. Um, the question is, what's our position, right? Is it executor? Is it the creator? Um, is it, you know, are we the beneficiary or are we the trustee? You know, and I hear that all the time, getting like fumbled around. You want to be the trustee, you want to be the co-trustee, you want to be this, you want to be that. Um, I don't think most of you are ready to be co-trustees. I'm not sure if any of you are ready to be beneficiaries, but I'd make hella sure that I was the executor and the one in charge. So let's go to Latin root executor or the etymology. Let's see if it comes up here. So it's one who executes or performs, a doer, right? An executor. It's the person appointed by a testator to execute his will or see its provisions carried into effect after his decease. Okay. So when you come into full life, right? When you come into actually being born again as a adult, as not as a minor, right? You would want to be the executor after you put your estate, you create the estate to put that old entity to bed and then start the first name, last name trust. So that's the way that I see it best operating. Now, what are the benefits of that? It's a good question. So, how is that going to get you your trust money? Because everybody's trying to get like, their, let's say, this free money that everybody thinks they have. Um, as you all know, we've made it very clear since the beginning that it's when you start to take control of these things that you start to get moored with immense responsibility and immense powers that come onto your shoulder. The first thing you have to do is accept this Christ consciousness, so to speak, of who you are. Um, and that's why I get so frustrated about the crisis consciousness. That's why we were having our arguments earlier, because you can't be the Christ with all of this nonsense going on. And if you want those things to come to you, you got to get out of that whatever parallel or whatever timeline that they're trying to put you back into. Um, how many folks do I know that gain access to their trusts? Again, Mike, I don't know what you're talking about, but I would say probably around 150 million Americans get access to their Social Security trusts every day, and they get a check every month. You know, maybe more than that, maybe 200. Okay. Um, but the question is, what position do they have? Everybody gets access to their trust. Everybody gets access to the trust that they created for you. That's why it was created for you, right? The Social Security trust is a retirement trust, so to speak. It's a public interest trust. Um, you mean that it probated their minor estate? Maybe that's not the correct way to do it. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe there's more than one way to do everything. And again, I'm trying to explain that as you're trying to take possession of something that isn't yours, right? So it's like me giving a shit about Jared Kushner's dad. I give zero shits about Jared Kushner's dad because that's the trust that he made with Satan, right? He made this satanic trust with Satan that he's going to trust in Satan, and Satan's going to deliver him the ambassadorship to France so he can go bully them around and tell them that they can't be anti-Semitic. Well, whatever that means to him at that time, I don't even know what he's saying, nor do I care, because that's not my trust. It's not my interest. I have no interest in that trust, right? So you are granted a lot of different trusts all the time. Your main trust is with God, right? That you have a God trust above all else. If you're trying to only gain access to Caesar's trust, well, what did Jesus say about Caesar? Give
Well,
Caesar what's Caesar's.
Caesar's right.
Don't screw with it. Okay. So,
And then what happened? What happened just before that, though? You know, when they had to, or not, well, in a parallel story, when they needed to pay a tax. Jesus said, "Go catch a fish. You'll find what you're looking for." And he created it. He literally created it for that specific purpose. So if there's something that you need, be the creator of it.
That's what the God trust is for. That's what your creator's trusts are for. Okay. That's why you have creator's trust. I am creator's trust. And then you get the more from the creator, which is you, and you have unlimited funds in that trust. Now, how you're able to access them is your job. Is there work involved? Yes. Is it something you can just be lazy and get a cane and sit around and say, "Oh, poor me, drop me off a blessing from the skies, a big bag of money"? It ain't happening like that. It doesn't work like that. Now, if you know who you are and you know what you need and you know what you're doing this for, you just get really big bags that you create.
There's a verse of scripture where the disciples were asking Jesus, "Hey, Jesus, increase our faith," because he was seeing all the crazy things that and amazing miracles that Jesus was doing. But Jesus went on to two stories. He talked about two impossibilities. He said, "Do this impossibility and this impossibility, and then it'll be done for you." And they're all scratching their heads. And then immediately he said, if you're working and you're serving the table, don't expect to get paid until your service is complete and your service is completed. So he tied that all together. And the culmination of it is, don't expect your faith to work for you if you think that you don't have to do anything about it. And he equated faith
And if
with
you're only
completed
working
works
trying to
of
get a bag of money, it
obedience.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and he completed faith with completed works of obedience. So if you just make a declaration and say, "All right, this is who I am," it's not going to do anything for you. You have to put legs to it because it needs to work for it. Because faith without corresponding action is nothing. It's dead.
Yep.
So There you go.
And it just brought me into like how much better your life would be, Bo, if you made an agreement with yourself to not say Trump's name for one entire year. One entire year, you're not allowed to utter Trump out of your mouth. Never once. You can't think about Trump. You can't say Trump's name. You have to be completely non-existent of Trump. And instead of Trump, which is Caesar, you only have God in your mind. So every time that garbage comes in, Trump, out comes God. Okay. A lot better things would start to happen for you. You start to receive and have what you need when you need it, kind of thing.
That's a good word, Adam. It's a good word.
Yeah. Because
Well, because it's for most of us in this
and
community.
that's why I get so upset when you get
it's been
too
on.
wrapped up in this political shit. Because that's all Caesar. You're not supposed to even think about that. It's not supposed to
Right.
be a part of your life. Give Caesar what's Caesar. Give him all the attention that he wants you to give it.
Right.
Just give him no attention.
Oh, that's
Caesar
good.
doesn't
Give
give you nothing.
Caesar what is Caesar's. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
give him all that attention.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
like a mirror. You can't see it. I
That's
don't
true.
give it any attention.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you got to realize that those things are there to take you off the path of God. So Mike, yeah, I've successfully gotten more than anyone else I know from my trust, from my God, from everything. So, yes, absolutely. And do I do something good in the world? Absolutely. And there's not much more. Like, you don't really need verification from anybody else. Like, I could, if you need it, if you need to see my socks, like Bo had to go ask David, could I see her socks, like for verification that it was real. So if you need to see my underwear, my socks, or whatever else,
man.
but
Okay.
to be honest with you, you don't need verification from another man. You get your verification from God, and God gives it all to you.
David kept cash in his socks. Everybody, I didn't ask to see his socks. Anyways,
Yeah, you're a sock sniffer.
It was
You're like,
a
David,
question
where's
that
those
I
socks?
didn't even have. It was Jaden that had it, my son, and he said, "Come here," and he showed us. He had literal socks full of cash in
Yes,
his
called
freaking
sock
office.
money. Sock
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
Anyways, it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so yeah.
I'm just messing with you guys, trying to add a little of my strange sense of humor to the
Yeah.
comedy there. But Mike, you don't need any like I mean, you don't really need verification from somebody else. The trust meeting is going to be in Minnesota, somewhere near Mall of America. We didn't get a venue yet, but let's
Working
say
on it.
inside Mall of America, right under SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh wow.
But last time I was
Special
there, Mall of
permission.
America, to visit Bo,
Mhm.
they have something called Paw Patrol. I don't know if any of you guys have kids or know what Paw Patrol is, but it's this cartoon. And there was a Muslim lady sitting next to Paw Patrol. And when my son walked by, she was going like this, like, and she was saying all this stuff. And it looked like she was worshiping Paw Patrol. So
I saw the picture.
There was a
He
new
took a picture.
religion at Mall of America worshiping Paw Patrol, which is
Oh my
hilarious.
gosh. Yeah.
So we have this inside joke that people go there to worship SpongeBob and SquarePants and Paw Patrol. But
next time we'll grab a chair real quick, put it in front of her. You sit there, and I'll stand behind. I'll take a picture at him.
Oh, we have a picture, Nick.
No, with you sitting in front of her with her.
Yeah, please not. I don't want that. So when in November we're gonna have a date. I'm trying to work on a date before the last
holidays
week in September here. So probably within the next week or two, we're gonna have a date. Exactly. We have a couple things that we're trying to schedule, but we'll give you a little more notice.
We'll have printers on site, notaries. We'll have everything that we need. We'll have ink. So if people are traveling, we'll make sure that we have supplies for everybody. in
Yep.
case
Yep. Yep.
you can't bring a printer or an ink, a little bottle of ink that they won't let you travel with or
Yep.
something.
So
We'll have all that
day
stuff.
one is going to be basically Trust 101 again to review everything, make sure you understand the concepts. Day number two, we're going to go through the documents and, create your actual, let's say, trust res and what everything is there and get all that stuff together.
Hmm.
Um, we might have a special guest, I don't know. But we're just going to put it together. The cost, I don't know yet. Um, we have to see. We have to
We're
see.
working on it, and we're working on number of bodies showing up, because it has to be worth it, because we have to hire these notaries, so they're not just come there just for free. So
No, but
you know.
we'll put it together. You're gonna end up if you don't have your trust already finished. I think Mike, you said you already did your trust, right? So, um, or who was no Lucas had your trust together. This is for anyone who just doesn't have their trust together, wants to get it put together. Anybody that
Hmm.
needs extra information on how to, move things into their trust. They just have questions, they're unsure about it, and they want to get like completely rock solid sure. This is going to be where you can ask all the questions, get all the answers, and just make sure that you're moving forward in trust. Because I do trust for
So
a lot of
what if
people in
yeah,
a
what
lot
if
of
they
different
already have a
areas in life.
trust, and they want to make sure, A, that they did it correctly,
Yep.
and B, if they want to do another one, but they want to do it this way. And is it possible to educate on stacking the trusts, or trust stacking?
Yeah, of course. So
Okay.
we'll go.
So
We're gonna go into trust stacking, a little bit there. I'm gonna give you an in depth
yeah, it's trust
lesson.
stacking's tough to do over a 1 hour time period, and then having a week between would be tough. So
It's tough to do, and
yeah,
I haven't determined if I'm gonna allow any follow up on it or not because just a lot of people steal a lot of time from me
right.
when I do too much trust work for them. Like that's why I was getting calls while we were on the mastermind because trust work. And, you know, um, yeah, brother. Um, yep. Lucas, thank you. That's awesome, dude. Um, so we're gonna do it while we're there. We're probably gonna do one online as well. And we might have an online notary available
Mm,
to get everybody's documents and everything done if we can coordinate everything in time.
yep.
Um,
I'm currently working with one of our notaries. She is actively pursuing uh, online notary public. So
yeah, because
we'll
that's
see.
helpful. Yeah,
Yep.
I got to get some notary stuff done. I was gonna try to get it done today, but it looks like tomorrow. Um, but again, with all this, what you got to remember most is just not to give up and to really, um, because you're gonna encounter things when you're doing your trust and you think you got it licked. Like Bo and I sent out some paperwork for one of the trusts that I'm a trustee of, and like some of the paperwork came back, right? Um, so is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? Okay. So it depends in how you're using it, right? Somebody who doesn't have experience would look at it and say, "Oh man, it's a bad thing. We didn't get the service that we wanted," right? And then I look at it like, "Oh man, we got exactly what we wanted because they refused it or what have you." So
Hmm.
you got to do baby steps to it. Um, the more you get into trust work, you're not just like I didn't do trust work to make myself a bunch of money. I did trust work to help a bunch of people. And that's essentially what we do. And this is like you guys are at the let's say at the founding moment of some really big things we're doing in the areas of trust and trust work because if you haven't noticed by now, since Mike, you so eloquently brought up about birth certificates, everything is a trust, right? Since the time you're born to the time you go to court to the time a police officer pulls you over to the time you get arrested first to the time that you get your first car loan, get your first mortgage, get all this shit, it's all a trust. Okay. And most of it, you're completely unaware of how that works. Okay. So before you can go and get your social security trust, you need to know how to manage your own trust, right? And one that you create. And until you get that like really dialed in, and I've been doing trust for like, I don't know, 10 years, um, it's it's impossibility to get it all right. You know, like I'm constantly like, oh man, I need to do that better. I need to do that better. And that's the whole goal, is to just really um, you know, get the trust side of things working. And I would say actually we've all been doing trust since the day we were born, you know? Just that was when I first became aware of them, that it was something that I really needed to do. And I first became aware of that because I got an attorney disbarred. So I'm one of the few people, as you all know, that I got a notch on my belt of one attorney disbarred. I'm going for another 4 right now. I've got complaints in the mail ready to go. So I'm going for 5 total on my belt. But what I found out was this lawyer who I lost like, I don't know, what was it, $20 million or so in a business transaction. And this attorney didn't have insurance and he didn't have any assets. He had only everything in a trust, his house, his everything. And I said, what is this trust thing? Man, something's going on here. And I need to find out about it. So that's how I first got awakened to it. And then I needed a way for um, my finances and the finances of a lot of very wealthy people that I was helping to be put into a very well protected and a really God serving mechanism. So if you put that first and foremost in your heart and in your mind, then the Caesar shit just kind of comes along, and that stuff is easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you call 3 lawyers at the bottom of the Marianas Trench? A good start. Yeah, you're right. I agree. But at the same time, brother, like they are useful tools in your tool belt. Okay. The lawyers themselves are not the problem. The problem is me and you. Like it's our ineffective education that you've been miseducated and you believe a false narrative in how to use attorneys.
Right. Or
So
contracts.
yeah, well,
Mhm.
that's the first contract. You don't
Right.
even ever get the first contract with the attorney because they give you a contract. You're like, yeah, I'll take it.
Mhm.
Retainer, whatever. I'll sign anything. You're
Yeah.
screwed from day one if you
Right.
do those kind of things.
Yep.
So
That's right.
I'm
So,
always drafting the lawyer contracts when I engage with lawyers. I think most of them are scum. Some of them are okay, and some of them are needed tools
mhm.
to you. Sometimes you need an officer of the court, right? Like I'm not an
Exactly.
officer of the court.
Mhm.
So sometimes, like
And
if I want like
they may not have a license on land, but they have one with their little crew.
yeah, bro, but just look at it like this, Bo. Like you go to McDonald's, right?
Nope.
And well, let's say you did, right? And you
Right.
wanted like
Yeah.
you wanted double cheese on your Whopper or whatever, okay?
Mhm.
So you go for that. You're going to ask the employee or the officer of McDonald's to do that for you.
Right.
You're not going to go and ask, you're not going to just go and get extra cheese, pull it out of your pocket and put extra cheese on
Right.
top of your hamburger, right?
Mhm.
So there's a time and a place for everything. While we're at war with the
Right.
bar, we're more at war with the marketing arm of the bar
Of course.
and the educational tools that they've used against us,
Right.
not the actual individuals, not the actual officers, and
Right.
not the court officials. Like
Yep.
they're technically just doing my job, ma'am. I mean, they're more
Mhm.
culpable because they know what they're doing. They
Right.
should be disclosing things to you. They should be, you know, not practicing law from the bench. They should be
Right.
not forcing you to do things that are against your best interest. But most people are so stupid when they go into court and, well, I don't need an attorney. Well, how are you going to put that extra slice of cheese on the hamburger?
Right.
You're going to pull it out of your pocket, melt it on your butt, sit there for a while. Like,
Well, and they eat, sleep, and breathe that lifestyle. And I'm not a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. So our time is valuable to us. And sometimes it's necessary to get somebody in that system because we don't have the time to do it.
right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like when I had my baby boy, right? My son Nathan was born on my birthday. And the doctor's standing there. My wife is like, I've already had 2 of these guys pop out. And I'm like, this third one's just going to pop out. And I'm like, Doc, get out of here. And he's like, what? I'm like, dude, your only job is not to drop the baby. I can do the same thing. I don't really need you here unless there's a complication. So why don't you just leave the room and let me have the baby? He just looked at me. He's like, all right, have at it. And, I caught the baby, cut the cord, and there was no problem. The baby was breathing, everything was fine. And the doctor still charged me $60,000.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But true. But that's kind of where, like, they force you to where you need it, right? So I should have signed a contract that said, hey, I can catch my own baby and I don't really need to pay for this service. But when we even signed up to go to that hospital, I just signed off on everything. Like, I'll just, whatever shit bills you give me, I'll just accept. Okay. So I'm just a dumbass thinking like, oh, they have my best interest in mind. They have this beautiful birthing house. And literally the guy stood there for like, I don't know, 5 minutes till I told him to leave and charged me that much. It was like, I don't know, it was like $300,000, $400,000 an hour. Some crazy,
That's
maybe
crazy.
over $1 million an hour is
Jeez.
what they were charging because we're all fucking idiots. Like, let's just be simple and straight. We're all complete idiots because we don't read our contracts. We go into hospitals without reading the fine print.
Yeah.
They're there
Uh-huh.
only to try to steal your house, your parents'
Mm-hmm.
house, everybody's stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
I just recently with my mortgage company, I just recently went through a contract because for over terms for forbearing my mortgage because, well, I lost my kitchen in an insurance loss. And so they're forbearing it. And so their terms were terrible. And I changed the language, which they accepted. I'm just saying, like you can absolutely do that. I wasn't bullied. There was no hassle. There was one minor thing, and it was easy. I was like, that makes sense. Okay,
Got
let's
to
do
pay
it.
attention. Correct.
Yep,
Most of us, when we get into a deal with the lawyer, a deal with the doctor, we don't check the contract at all.
that's
We
right.
just say,
Yep. Well,
whatever you say.
and even as a contractor, nobody looks at my contract. And even those that do, guess what I do? Oh, okay. Well, you don't like that. I'll cross this section off of my terms and then I'll add this for you. Boom,
Yeah.
signed contract. I do it all the time. And I didn't even think about it that we can actually, before we sign anything, we could tell them, I don't like this section. Take it out and I'll sign it.
Right.
Guaranteed. They
Right.
want that. They want that sale. They want that contract. They want that. So
Yeah.
just do it.
And I still wanted that doctor in case anything was wrong with my boy. If he came out blue or something, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted him there to help save his life. Right.
Right.
I wanted that availability. And in court, sometimes it's really smart to have an officer there who knows how to put the cheese on the cheeseburger,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to make my own burgers at Burger King. I don't want to be doing that.
Yep. And when you're the plaintiff, right? You've got the upper hand. Why not use somebody in their system when you're on the defense mode? I think that's kind of what a lot of people are like. I don't need a lawyer to stand up for me because they just want to throw me in jail and get access to money that they don't have permission to. But when you're on the offense
You
and
need
you're
it.
yeah, exactly,
You
uh-huh,
really need it. And statistically, when you run the numbers of who wins and who doesn't in like
right,
court,
mm-hmm,
the plaintiff side, you have like a 95% chance of losing without an attorney. It's like super high.
that's crazy,
Whereas it's the opposite side of the scale when you're on the defense side,
right,
you're defending yourself. You have a little higher chance doing it yourself because most of the attorneys get busy.
Right.
but it should be a group effort. Like you should be
That's
the
right.
one supplying the information.
Mm-hmm.
The contract should state that, hey, I'm not an officer of the court, but I need
Mm-hmm.
you to put this, this, and this on. I'm going to send you
Correct.
over this, this, and this. So I am, quote unquote, pro se. I'm still man. I'm still sui juris,
Yep.
able to defend myself. But when I'm up in front of the court, I ain't putting the cheese on the cheeseburger. You are. And you're going to
Right.
put whatever cheese I tell you to put on. If I tell
Yeah.
you to put Swiss cheese, American cheese, jalapeno cheese, you're going to put
Mm,
that cheese on there, Mr.
I want a
Lawyer.
burger now.
Yeah, I know.
No, no, seriously though, there's a Bible verse that says, "There's wisdom found in a multitude of counselors," and
Yeah.
so that's wisdom. Be wise as a serpent, and yet gentle as a dove, Jesus told us. And so in that wise as serpent, I mean, we're entering into a place that is not our territory. We don't necessarily belong there, but in order to get some
No.
things moved through their system, we have to categorize it as a needless casualty of war, that it's going to cost us a little bit, but these people are the only ones that are going to be able to know what to say and how to handle themselves in this situation. You're right. It's a very high number of plaintiffs that try and represent themselves because
Yep.
they don't know the language. They don't know which I's they're not supposed to dot and which T's they're not supposed to cross. That's
Yep.
something that
And
we don't get.
right.
And
And
if you make one mistake, that judge is just going to take and go, nope.
right. And the one position that you should be learning as much as you can outside of whatever profession it is you have that earns you money is your trust work. Like that is something that you were born with, you were deceived with, and you got to get that straight. And the first way to get that straight is to start working for God, have that God trust. So make the declaration, whatever it is.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, it's not that hard. It's not that rocket science. Um, but again, probably making a McDonald's hamburger, if I had to make one, it wouldn't be very tasty, just because I don't have the experience of doing it, where a guy who's been doing it for 20 years, he probably makes a much better hamburger than I. So,
Or the litany of chemicals they put in their burgers just to make them taste like meat,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yes. So,
yeah.
so when it comes to the trust work, when it comes to any of this work, it's about not giving up, not being afraid, keeping track and
Yeah.
making moves when the moves are
Hmm.
necessary as well,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So,
I mean, right
you know,
now, what's happening with trust work is we're creating our castle, our keep, the
this is
walls, the
and this is
drawbridge.
our own trust, right? Because before we can
Exactly.
go and take over Caesar's trust, we can't even
Hmm.
handle our own. How do
But
you're not
what
ready for it, you know?
kings typically don't go to war by themselves. They go
Mhm.
find other kings that are good at that specific level of warfare. So they'll find the
Kings
guy
and
that has
priests.
the horse
Yeah.
army. They'll go find the guy that has all the amazing archers. They'll find the guys that have the amazing equipment to launch things over the wall. So it's like when you know how to use the right people to protect your kingdom, then that's just half the battle. And there's
Yeah,
no
the
there's
right pieces. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah, and you gotta play your own game of chess, but don't really worry about Caesar's chess. Don't worry about Caesar at all, and I challenge you all, including Bo, to just try not to say Trump's name for 1 year straight now. And every time Trump comes into your brain, immediately stop that action and turn it into something completely different and just turn it off. Because
I
you'll
am
find turn it
I
into God.
I agree
And
to the concept. I can't agree to
yeah, you
that
can't
level
do
of
it.
vow.
You're weak. You're weak.
No, no, I don't think that that's necessary enough for me to qualify within myself to
Okay. Okay.
to validate as something that I need. But I know what you mean. It makes sense. Too many people looked at Trump as a savior,
Yeah, you're
and
into this people
he's not.
worship and the news worship. And that's what, you know, you can talk a lot about the Bible, but you gotta be about the Bible.
Gotta. Yep.
And that's really, nobody's gonna
Right.
save you from this. And this is why you need your own trust, you know?
Right.
It's so yeah, exactly. No more clown show, kabuki theater.
Kabuki
I agree.
theater.
I
Thanks,
agree.
Mike.
It's it's
Yeah,
it's it's just it's not helpful to anybody anymore. So, you know, if it helped you do something, great, but I don't really think it does. And my wife the other day, she said, "Man, Adam, my whole like feeds, everything that I get was just filled up with this Kirk stuff, and I just knew if I pressed on it, I would be hypnotized, so I didn't press on it. So that's kind of real wise thing that you got to just stop pressing on that stuff and start pressing on your trust work and do more work there. It'll really it'll bring you much more benefits. And if you need proof, just try it for 1 year, right? Just try it. And I promise you that focusing on God and God's work and your trust is going to bring you a lot more than you know anything
yeah.
else.
Hmm.
So, yep.
Amen.
Anyways, guys, we'll see you next week. If you guys need like I didn't answer James' question. I don't know what more you need from me, James. So
Well,
you didn't
if
comment
anybody,
anymore. Just
yeah,
put more
if you,
comments there what you want me to go into, because I don't know what I've gone into, what you've heard, because everybody hears something a little bit different, even if I say the
mhm.
same thing. So whatever you need, kind of speak up, and,
Right.
and
And
let me know
also, if you
where
want to
you're having.
craft, if you want a week to craft a question that you're unsure of and you want to change, just craft it and
Yep.
email it info@freemanbot.com. And also, if
Yep.
there if there's like a group of you that's wanting to go a certain direction in trust or a certain direction in learning more about system navigation, I guess you could say, navigating the system, then just speak up and just email info@freemanbot.com and be more than happy to get those questions in advance and then answer them during the next
Better you just put them on the
thing.
comment section.
Comments too. Absolutely. So, well,
Only the comments.
sometimes people, it takes a minute sometimes to craft something. I'm like that too. It's,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Craft it
okay.
and then copy and paste here in the comments.
That
It'll
too.
be the best way because it's
Yep.
a little too complicated.
It would
So,
be.
all right, guys, we
Yeah.
will see you
Amen.
next week and
All right.
later on. Ciao.
All right. Yep. Later.